why we look like our parents, brothers, or sisters. Until the mid of the 19th century, we did not have an answer for that question. Scientists knew by that time that we inherit traits from our parents, but they did not know the role of genes in this. Gregor Mendel, who was an Austrian monk and a teacher, discovered the basic principles of genetics, and that is why he is known as the father of genetics. So how did Mendel reach his discovery? Mendel conducted experiments on pea plants from his garden. He studied 7 characteristics of pea plants and observed how they were passed from one generation to another. The characteristics he studied included seed shape, which was either round or wrinkled, seed color, yellow or green, pod shape, whether inflated or constricted, pod color, whether green or yellow, flower color, whether purple or white, flower location, whether axial or terminal, and plant size, whether tall or short. He studied one trait at a time, collected data, observed offspring produced, and looked for patterns. Mendel chose pea plants because it was easy for him to self-pollinate or cross-pollinate its flowers. Self-pollination is when the pollen from the anther of a flower falls on the stigma of the same flower or another flower on the same plant, while cross-pollination is when the pollen of one flower is transferred to the stigma of another flower. Using pea plants enabled Mendel to produce offspring in a short period of time and be able to study the traits in following offspring. Mendel made sure to repeat his experiments several times in order to obtain reliable data. He used the repeated data to see how close his results were. He is considered a pioneer in following the scientific method and collecting quantitative data. Based on his experiments, Mendel concluded that there are units that are passed from one generation to another, which determine the inheritance of each trait. These units were later called genes. He also found that each individual inherits one unit or gene from each parent. One of the most significant results that some of the traits that are passed do not show up. Unfortunately, Mendel's work was not recognized by that time. Many scientists at that time rejected Mendel's ideas and criticized his data, assuming that it cannot be applicable on all species. However, 20 years after his death, his work was rediscovered, and many scientists by that time based their experiments on Mendel's work and reached similar conclusions. The rediscovery of Mendel's studies provided the foundation for the study of genetics. In the next lesson, we will explain more about Mendel's experiments and provide some examples to understand how Mendel reached his conclusion. Join me next time.